Coming up next on This Week in Google, Leo's out for the week, so I, Jason Howell, am filling in for Leo. We're here with Jeff Jarvis, Stacey Higginbotham, and Ant Pruitt, and we got a whole lot of Google to talk about this week. Google is the ultimate warrior in the battle between Google and Oracle. We talk all about that case and the Supreme Court decision that decided it. Google I/O 2021 is near. Suddenly we know all about it. We've got details for you. Stacey reviews the Nest Hub 2. That's the one with sleep tracking. I go hands-on with the OnePlus Watch, their new wearable that's coming out soon. The Pixel 6 is supposedly going to have Google's Whitechapel chip in it, and so much more that we talk about next on This Week in Google.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 606, recorded on Wednesday, April 7th, 2021. 2222 to lose. This episode of This Week in Google is brought to you by Melissa. Like expired milk, 30% of your customers' data goes bad every year. That's money down the drain. Visit Melissa's developer portal for free access to data quality APIs, demos, and code samples. Freshen up your sour data today with 1,000 records cleaned for free at melissa.com/twit. And by CacheFly. Give your users the seamless online experience they want. Power your site or app with CacheFly CDN and be 30% faster than the competition. Learn more at twit.cachefly.com. It's time for This Week in Google. Hello, everyone. I'm Jason Howell, filling in for Leo Laporte. I like to say that he's gallivanting, but I think he's gallivanting in the Petaluma area, or at least the Sonoma County area. Still gallivanting. He's probably doing it in a gallivanting sort of way, but happy that he's taking a break and enjoying himself, and happy that it means that I get to join the crew today. So I'm happy to be here. Yay. Joining us as always, we'll start with you, Jeff Jarvis, buzzmachine.com, or I can go for the super long, the Leonard Tao Professor for Journalistic Innovation at the Craig Newmark Graduate School.
Craig Newmark.
University of New York. I knew that was coming, and I didn't do it. Why didn't I sing it? How you doing, Jeff?
All right, how are you? Glad to have you here, boss.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Also joining us and returning after a week away is Stacey Higginbotham, StaceyOnIoT.com. What's up, Stacey?
What's up? I'm in a good mood today. I can't wait.
I know. Loving it. It's like lifting the collective energy too. That's what happens when one of us. Yeah. So it's good to see you. Good to have you back. And then also joining us from, nearer to me in real life than anyone else on this podcast panel is Ant Pruitt, twit.tv/hop, and all other things Twit. How you doing, Ant?
Unbelievable as always, sir. How about yourself?
I knew you were going to say that. And then I knew you were going to wink. That's like your thing. You do unbelievable as always, and then you wink. It just makes me feel so good. It's good to see you. I'm doing well. It's good to be here, and we've got some Google stuff. Actually,
actual Google news.
Actual Google news that we can talk about today.
Big news.
But kind of scrolling through, we might end up talking a little bit about Facebook. I'm sorry, Stacey. I don't know.
It's okay.
It might happen.
I will persevere.
You
cannot kill.
You're bringing her down.
Sorry, I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to bum you out. But
don't harsh my buzz, man.
Don't want to harsh your mellow. I suppose we should start with the story that I only realized when I was kind of setting up the doc for today's show. I completely forgot to put this into last night's rundown on All About Android. Totally an Android story, sort of, I suppose, at this point, but definitely a story that's been in the Android world for more than 10 years. Google has won officially in the Supreme Court in its case against Oracle. This is the case that had to do with copyright claims. Oracle was claiming, Oracle stated and proved that Google had Java code in the Android operating system code a decade ago. Like I said, Google, of course, claiming fair use. Supreme Court ultimately sided with Google on this, reversed an earlier appeals court decision that Oracle had won in its favor, I think 2 times. So this is just one of those cases that just never goes away. We talk about it for a little bit, then we forget about it, and then like 4 or 5 or 6 months later, it appears again, and it's appeared again. Is this the end of this story? Are we at the end of this arc?
Yes, because the only thing you can do after the Supreme Court rules is take your toys and go home. And Google is basically we'll have some petty fighting maybe back and forth, like Google being like, yeah, Oracle, you know what? We're no longer using your software. But really, this was such a huge news. Like Monday morning, I woke up. I was stoked because it was after Easter and I was probably still on a sugar high. And I saw this and I was like, oh, this is amazing. And my husband thought it was actually going to be exciting. And I tried to explain to him how not copywriting APIs basically enables the entire service-oriented like tech economy that we have today to exist. And he was just like,
Stacey, it is copyrighted. They didn't decide copyright. They decided fair use.
Right. Fair use. You're right. Thank you, Jeff. I'm glad you're here. You'll never hear that again, by the way.
Sometimes.
You're in such a good mood.
I'm like, yes, Jeff, you're right. You're right.
Wow.
It is copyrighted, but it's fair use. You can do this. But this is huge for like
it is huge.
The way we work today. I mean, think about it. Like just I as an IoT person, every item in my smart home uses APIs to talk to other things. You have to have access to these things. And this lets you control them, but it also lets people use them, which without like onerous terms. So you can't have Oracle stepping in the middle of innovation and saying, "Whoop up, pay my toll." So
pay me. You got a lot.
And I think Amy, the other thing that makes me happy about it is because they did kind of dodge copyright, and we'll get back to whether software can be copyrighted later. As of now, it can be, but I think that they use that open for a fight for another day, which probably could be good news. But just as a creative, as we all are here, it also is an endorsement of fair use. And that's important for all of us. That's important for, you showing videos on these shows, or for us acting as critics of things. It recognizes the core of copyright, which is that it's meant to spur creativity. So the strong endorsement of fair use, which Larry Lessig once said, fair use is just the right to hire lawyers. It's still it's never going to be clearly defined, but there's an endorsement of it here, and that made me feel good. And finally, it feels really good to see Oracle as a jerk company getting kicked.
Jason, you asked if we were going to hear about this again. It seems like we only heard about it when it was about vacation time for what's his name, McAfee. But this was, I thought this was good news because I talked to a employee at Google, and he brought up, I'm not going to say his name, but he brought up some good points and said that, there were a lot of things brought up in this documentation that made it look bad on Google, but this is still just for the better of everybody. And like you said, as far as fair use and being able to use certain things in our content creation as we are content creators. And I believe Mrs. Stacey mentioned something regarding, hey, we can be petty with Oracle. I think they've already started that because they're going to step away from a particular accounting software or something and move over to SAP. Yes. I want to say I saw that the other day.
Yep, they're getting rid of Oracle. Just, okay, we were nice to you while this went on, but be gone, Oracle, be gone.
No one likes Oracle.
SAP.
I mean, find me someone who likes, even my friends who work at Oracle don't like Oracle. That's
wow.
Ouch. It's hard.
Ouch. Your friends are all hiding right now.
No.
There are two good threads in here, Jason, that I thought were really good. One by AMAC, Alex McElroy. Who I think one thing we owe some thanks to Google in this case is everybody wants to slam the big platforms. Google spent God knows how much and spent 10 years fighting on behalf of all of us in favor of this fair use. And AMAC says that it was 10 years ago when he was part of the team of lawyers who was privileged to work on, number 1, book search is fair use. Number 2, DMCA protects YouTube. And number 3, Android's use of Java APIs is fair use. And that they fought these things, and good for them.
They didn't fight them out of the goodness of their heart, though, Jeff.
But they could have given up, like I think folks are lately, and against Murdoch in Australia. I think they're less likely to defend the internet as well because they did
start this back in the "Do Not Be Evil" era.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Well said.
This was a 2013, 2012, I think. The appeals case was 2014, so they started the case before then.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a full decade ago. This has been one of those 10-year cases. Crazy stuff.
The other really interesting thread here was, I'm pulling up here, Matt Schroyer's about the notion of interoperability, and that there was a flip here. Let me see if I get this right. That the active supporters were Oracle and Sun, and Microsoft was, I don't know so much because, I don't want you to be interoperable with us like Oracle was with Java. And that interoperability won here, which is really important too. Just Stacey can put that better than I can.
I had to stop listening to you because I was being talked to by John.
It's okay.
Yes.
Interoperability, Stacey. Like it or don't. Good or bad?
Pro interoperability.
Okay, there we go.
It's like, do you appreciate kicking puppies? No.
Right.
No.
So Oracle, when it was down, had been in favor of interoperability. Then it turned and went against it.
Yeah.
But in the end, it won, and Oracle lost. It was on the wrong side of history.
Oracle said, in response to this, they said, they stole Java and spent a decade litigating as only a monopolist can. This behavior is exactly why regulatory authorities around the world and in the United States are examining Google's business practices. So, yeah, take that, Google. Yeah.
Bitter.
A little bitter. I mean, you spend a decade fighting for your side and you lose. You're going to be a little bitter. I have a feeling anybody would come out the other end and be like,
yeah, that's how I felt about net neutrality in 2018 or 2017.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't worry. It's coming back.
It came back around.
Yeah, exactly. That arc is turning for the better again. So there we go. Cool. Google wins. Happy to get that on one of the shows. I don't know how I missed it last night. We had all sorts of other great, like important news.
Because you're probably trained to say, "Oh, the Google Oracle story. Oh God, it's still going on."
Honestly, right? You're probably right.
That's what it is.
You're probably exactly right. Because when I saw this headline, I was like, "Oh my goodness! How many times has this story come up?" And I have to kind of rehash it again and go through the all the twists and turns and. It's important.
Plus, Jason, I didn't see Twitter go berserk the way I thought they would have. I thought Twitter would go crazy with this.
Twitter went nuts on my feed, but I have the cloud feed.
You saw it? Oh, my Twitter didn't so much.
My Twitter was
Mine was absolutely quiet.
Heck yeah, APIs.
There's the differences.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, she's on IoT.
I'm on infrastructure Twitter.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm in the regular people Twitter.
It's always infrastructure week for Stacey.
That's
right. Indeed. Isn't it for all of us? I'm sure if your Twitter went nuts over that news, then are they going nuts over Google I/O 2021? We actually have information. And it's not an in-person Google I/O. So it's virtual, which, I mean, we kind of expect, right? Like at this point, what is it? Next
At least
month,
we're having one. Last year there was none.
Exactly, right? Last year it didn't even happen. They had planned to have it, and then, you could cite a number of reasons why it didn't happen. There was a lot of social unrest happening at that point. I think that was almost immediately post the George Floyd incident, right? Somewhere around there where Google was like,
May 25, as we now know, was George Floyd.
Yeah, it was that. It was pandemic. It was a number of things. And they were like, maybe having a celebratory conference at this point is not a good idea. So they postponed it indefinitely. So we're getting it May 18th through the 20th. It's going to be virtual, free to attend, of course. I mean, I'd be surprised, I suppose, if it wasn't. But
free for everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone can go this year. Everyone.
Yeah. You can all go to the virtual Shoreline Amphitheater online.
Bring your sunscreen.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a drive down there, even though it's virtual.
I don't know. There might be a handful of other people that show up. They're like, what? Google I/O is happening right now. Where is
I feel like y'all could do, this is a great opportunity for a Twig branded background. Go out there, take a photo of the amphitheater so people can set it as their virtual backgrounds. You can.
There you go.
Brilliant.
Hey, that's a great idea. Love it. They're going to have consumer and developer keynotes. So, talking products, talking features. Sounds like the general idea is very similar to what you get out of a normal Google I/O, just compressed into 3 days. Although 3 days is about what it normally is, anyways, right? When it's out of short,
it is
3 or 4 days. 4 days, maybe at the longest. So, yeah,
I'm curious to see how they'll do the actual opening keynote because that's going to be pre-recorded. There's no way, and you see what Apple and Microsoft have done with those opportunities to try to really, really make them in depth and captivating to the audience, and not just really bore you to death with a bunch of slides. So I'm curious to see what Google would do with its googliness to make this an interesting presentation.
You know what I would love to see? Let me just dream big for a second here. So I have Google Audio, Nest Audios. I have Google Nest displays. I've got my Pixel. I feel like how fun would it be to be able to tune in on a couple of these channels and have I don't know, different camera angles or different things kind of happening. Wouldn't that be fun? And Google is the type of company who would think like that. I think
that would be cool.
So I am sure they're not going to, but my Nest Audios, I could have them behind me and they could be like crowd noises or
canned audio.
Okay. That's just me.
So what's your wish for I/O? What do you want out of I/O? What do you want them to announce?
I would I'll go first.
Go for it.
I would like Google to talk about smaller machine learning chips. So bringing actual machine learning to their TensorFlow, their TPUs are big, right? They've got TensorFlow Lite. I think it could be smaller and better. So I would like for them to make some big waves there and make it easier for normal people to use and maybe train on. That would be really neat if you could train your
maybe
own,
what
train on.
Oh.
So imagine if I could do NLP, I could train my devices for my voice or my wake words. That's something that's within grasp, actually, from a technical perspective. And then the other thing I really would like is much more information about local processing. And if I'm thinking super Google nerdy, I want something on the distributed side. So how we can actually start getting, even if it's on their database side, so it's on their side, but eventually it could come to us, is getting devices to really share computing loads across networks in a way that is a little bit more flexible than it is today. You don't have to program it quite as. So this is a crazy example, but my phone and my Google displays might decide amongst themselves which one will do the processing for hearing my voice. That's a really easy one.
I like that. Yeah, that's cool.
But it could also be
processing for it.
Yeah, it could also be Stacy really does these, I need to borrow some compute power for some machine learning to do some hyper-personalization for Stacy's house. Let's, in the middle of the night, no one's using these displays and she's not using her phone. Let's combine all that compute power to do some quick training. And then poof, the next morning I wake up and I've got better stuff. We're getting there.
Your own Stacy neural network.
Yeah.
Your personal neural network.
People are already there have been companies that have put Erlang, which is a highly distributed programming language, on light switches so they can do that within the walls of the house at various times, right? But we really need someone to take that sort of thing mainstream. And I don't think that's going to happen, but it'd be really awesome if it did.
Still trying to understand.
What I want.
So take the light switch as the example, because that already exists. What what does that result in?
So it could learn things. It could learn there's different layers. So if it's only light switches, maybe it just learns exactly. It learns exactly what someone's schedule is, right?
Oh, I see. Okay.
The other, the next layer is once there are common frameworks for things to talk to each other, it actually could talk to my phone, and let's use the phone as a proxy for me, even though it may not be because I may not carry it with me. But if you use my phone as a proxy for me, then you have this additional piece of information that says, hey, Stacy's right here. Take action on this. And so it's pulling in more data to learn from and possibly react. And you can do a lot of this. You can do. It just happens like over periods of weeks as opposed to every day.
Right. In like an ongoing kind of process.
Yeah. And a lot of companies say things like, oh, we do personalized machine learning, but they really don't.
They have a cookie cutter base.
Well, they say they're really just doing machine learning across all of their customers. And then they're like, they process it every like 2 weeks or a month. And then they're like, they do a software update to everyone that's like, hey, we're better now because, and that's not bad. I mean, that'll be things like, hey, we recognize dogs now on our cameras because we've trained on everybody's dog. But how much cooler could it be if you had that computing power that they could use locally to be like, A, your stuff isn't going to the cloud, but B, we recognize your dog. So when that raccoon runs into your dog door, we're going to be like, holy cow, Stacy, there's a raccoon in your house.
Gotcha.
Right.
This is a fear of
actual personalization.
Right.
Yeah.
Not marketing personalization.
Right. Right.
That's Biscuit at your door, not Kylo.
For you. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
So you know what I want?
Looking forward to, but Jeff.
Yeah, I want to hear what you want. You know what I'm
no,
I
don't
mine's
know.
obvious. I want a
G Suite.
I was going to say Chromebook of some sort, right?
Yeah, I was thinking Chromebook.
Yeah, I want a Pixel Book.
Mobile network connectivity. Yeah, that's the standby. But you want a new Pixel. If
they've already changed the name of it, you want to go back to the name?
What's that?
Stacy said G Suite. Didn't they?
Oh, sorry. No. Whatever the Google thing, like your issue with Google's
Enterprise or whatever.
Thank you. Enterprise.
But I've given up, Stacy.
Yeah.
Making Enterprise.
I've noticed you haven't been as vocal about that lately.
Quitter.
We will later get to Chrome changes, and I'm trying to do the new changes, and of course, some of them I can't do. And it doesn't even explain why. It has a strange little logo. It's a box with a cross in it, and then another box over to the side. I tweeted this and I said, "What does that even mean?" And I guess it's an office building, and if you're Enterprise,
it's don't wash in hot water. I'm sorry, Jeff.
Stacy is impish today. Yes.
That's great.
So you're right, Stacy. I would love that, but I've given up.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Jason, what do you want?
Well, you had mentioned Pixel. Like the only thing that really comes immediately to mind, because I'll be completely honest, I kind of forgot about Google I/O this year. Like I was truly surprised by the announcement. I was like,
really?
Oh yeah, that's right. It is normally next month in Google I/O.
That's where Jason and I used to rendezvous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I missed that. I missed the in-person thing and having lunch with you and everybody else that we see, like the whole experience. I'm really looking forward to, hopefully next year we return to an in-person I/O. Yeah. And we'll see about that. But I mean, I think the things that I look most forward to at Google I/O, probably because I'm more of a product person than I am a developer. I'm not a developer at all. Are kind of the product, how the product announcements, yes, but also how kind of the developments on the development side of things tie into those products and make them even better. And I know you said, Jeff, that maybe a Pixel announcement of some sort. If there is to be one at Google I/O, it would be if the previous couple of years is any indication, it would be one of the A series. So it would be, what would that be? The Pixel 5A. 5G or maybe not even the 5A 5G to make it even more confusing. It might just be the 5A, and then later this year we get the 5A 5G and the 6. Who the heck knows? I don't know. I'm already confused, but but maybe we'll hear something like that. I'm sure there will be some sort of product-y thing there. I'm just not certain I know exactly what it is.
Well, they were talking about
anything you want.
Yeah, my wish list is really a shot in the dark, and they probably won't do it. But I would be curious to see if they come up with a TikTok-like piece of software the way everybody else has done it. They already have everything in place with Google Photos, and they've added those extra updates to the video side of things. And why not just continue to put something else out there, because that's all you ever do is just throw stuff out there to see if it sticks. Just see how googly it would be, but I doubt they'll do it.
I wouldn't be. I'm trying to remember. Trying to remember if YouTube already has. See, I've lost track because everybody's
that's YouTube Shorts was one.
YouTube Shorts, that's it. Yeah,
but I'm thinking, outside of the world of YouTube, just something built right into Photos, because built right into Photos, because Photos has the capability to do all of these different animations and filters and stuff that it does via machine learning, and it mashes up little video clips for you already. Why not let the user have a little bit more control and do their own thing the way the likes of a TikTok or Instagram Reels does?
Would that have a social component to it? I feel like Photos is like less of a social app, more of a kind of
but even personal. With Photos, those things are shareable to those other applications via a link.
I see. So using Photos to create the media and then sharing it out to whatever social network you want. I could see that. Photos has a lot of that capability of, like you said, creating in interesting ways, different types of genres of media creation and stuff. So I could see that. Yeah.
I don't think they'll ever do it, but
so when you register, you can put in the question you would ask Sundar.
Oh, that's right.
You would want to ask Sundar.
Yeah.
How are you going to make money when search is done? That's the big Google. I mean, that's the biggest Google that's their existential question. What replaces search?
See, me, I would ask him, how is he going to really get leadership to focus? Everybody is so siloed there in that organization. We talked about it before. So what can he do as the head to get everybody to focus and just, stay on course with whatever the product is and not do all of this bouncing around stuff?
Yeah. That question, that prompt in the sign up process to get a virtual ticket for Google I/O took me by surprise. I was there for like 10 minutes. I was like, God, you got to put in your Twitter handle if you want to do this. It's got to be a good question. Like, what if they actually pick it? I think I ended up coming up with I don't know if it's like a softball question, but I just was curious to know. Facebook's is it Bosworth had said, the next 10 years of kind of personal media device dominance won't be smartphones. It's going to be wearables, glasses, watches, that sort of stuff. And I'm curious to know what Sundar believes. Like, is the next, if the 2010s were defined by the smartphone as they have been, what are the 2020s and beyond? What is the next paradigm that we have yet to discover?
Highly distributed continuous computing.
Such a nerd.
I'm telling you. Just you wait, y'all. You're going to be living it, and you'll be like, oh, this is what Stacey was talking about, but I barely understood her.
She knew what she was talking about.
She's too hyper and a little incoherent. That's okay.
We'll see. I wonder, like, at what point we'll know, like, who's... Like, what is that setting up for? Is that setting up for a keynote where Sundar Pichai answers these questions live for everyone?
Well, they have to answer questions now because they did it, right? So, but they can pick them.
Yeah. They'll cherry pick, of course, yeah.
Jason from Petaluma asks.
They did. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then we were talking about the Pixel, so we might as well mention this, and then we can take a break here. The Pixel 6 and actually the Pixel 5a 5G might actually be powered by Google's homemade or internally made Whitechapel chip. So this is their first kind of mobile phone or mobile device specific system on a chip. They're creating this in collaboration with Samsung. This would be the first time their own silicone goes into their Pixel devices, pushing out Qualcomm, which has been there since the beginning with Pixel devices. And of course, very similar to what Apple's been doing with the M1. And I don't know. I'd be interested to see what that affects, what that changes with the Pixel 6 compared to the 5 and before it.
Hopefully it changes cost of things, right?
Well, it can also change the ability to like put things like when you have your own silicon, you can like pop accelerators on there, like Apple has done, for example, for their wearables and devices. So they could do that. It might reduce costs because you're not paying. Yeah, I mean, they'll still have like an ARM license, but they probably won't have the Qualcomm fees. Yeah.
Right.
And it could be good across the board. If they're working with Samsung, then you could have all Android phones working from the same silicon, which means you could put things on the chip in OS and tie those very closely together. That could actually lead to like better security. So
okay.
What does that do to the companies that use Android without their chip?
Well, LG got out of the mobile phone market. So
one down.
How many of them? How many are left? There's Huawei. There's
Samsung,
Xiaomi.
Well, this is Samsung they're working with, though. So they're said the story says they're co-developing it with Samsung. So Samsung has their own Exynos chips. So if Whitechapel is Google plus Samsung, then the largest provider of Android, just basically is going to become vertically integrated, which gives them some good Apple-like features.
Yeah, except the fact that a lot of Samsung's, well, all of Samsung's premium flagship devices and
are Qualcomm
and below are Qualcomm, at least in the U.S., and that's just a huge percentage of Samsung's device.
And Samsung has worked really a long time to get and develop Exynos and to put they've been working on Exynos chips for I want to say a decade.
Yeah.
But the other thing to think about is when you develop your own chip, you have to have a huge volume of devices, and Pixels are not that. So Google couldn't actually credibly do this alone, but they do have chip designers.
Good point. Okay.
Yeah, very good point.
So, they have to have Samsung. I think it's a good move. I think it's a necessary move. It sucks for Qualcomm, but Qualcomm's already seen this writing, so they're definitely focused on other areas like servers, and they bought all the Wi-Fi companies. Not all the Wi-Fi companies. They bought Wi-Fi business. They have all these other businesses now. Anyway.
Well, yeah, and guest on last night's All About Android, we talked about this. Ryan Hager from Android Police pointed out Google can make the silicon, that's driving these phones, but then there's also the question of the modem that taps into that, and that can pose a bit of a challenge for Google potentially.
Well, Apple still uses the Qualcomm radios in their phones, don't they?
Oh, yeah, I'm not.
That's
aware.
still their baseband processor.
Okay.
Well, let me check. But I really thought it was. They're not using the application processor, but they are.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the M1 too.
So yeah, they've started working. They said last year, at the end of last year, that they're working on their own modem chip because they do still have Qualcomm in there.
Oh, okay. All right. So maybe less of an issue. One of the questions that I had on this is Google, then if we're talking about a Pixel 6 with Google's own chip, are they targeting a move back into the premium market with the Pixel 6, or are they going to stick to what they did with the Pixel 5? And last night's guest, felt pretty confident that they're going to stick in the same category that they are right now, and you're not looking at a return to the premium flagship era of Pixel phones. But I suppose, that remains to be seen. But I'll be curious to see if Google kind of doubles down on that. Because I still don't even know. Was it a good move for Google to kind of ratchet the Pixel 5 down into the mid-range? I was pretty positive going into it, but then when I reviewed the Pixel 5, I was a little underwhelmed with it. That's why I use the Pixel 4 XL now. I just kind of didn't see why I wanted to continue using the Pixel 5, and so I don't know that I'm entirely sold on that strategy personally, but we'll find out if that makes a difference with Whitechapel.
Wait, what do you mean by?
I'm still on the 3A XL.
I'm still in the 3A, so yeah. But what do you mean by going? Is it a cost function, or were you disappointed in like features? Was it laggy?
You know what? When I think about it, it wasn't that there was a feature about it that I didn't like. It was just I was unimpressed. Like I used it, and in using it, I realized there was no reason for me to use that when the 4XL works just fine for me. It was like one of the first times where I used the latest and greatest and realized I didn't need it, and that's probably what it was. Usually, I'm right there on the trying to stay along with the cutting edge, and the Pixel 5 felt less cutting edge to me and more like another. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I so appreciate you going down this road. I so appreciate you going down that road, sir. Because it's just been a whole mess of marketing, not just from Google, but from all of these OEMs about, hey, jump on this latest and greatest and pay a premium for it, even though nothing is really going to happen to justify that extra cost that you just put in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe I'm growing up.
Is it the phones are getting boring? I mean, were there features that you like? Because I feel like phones are kind of boring now.
Yeah,
I won't say boring.
Yeah,
I would say they're just stalemated at the time. There's only so much a phone can do. Same with the laptop. There's only so much a laptop can do before it stops becoming a laptop and turns into an actual workstation.
Mm-hmm.
There are limitations.
Yeah. I mean, and that kind of ties in a little bit to the story that we only alluded to just a little bit ago about LG. Basically shutting down their mobile division. It's kind of a shame that happened. Not because LG was producing phones that were taking the world by storm necessarily, but because LG was really doing some interesting things they were really playing around with the mobile phone to try and see like, okay, everybody's used to a slab, a black slab phone. Like, let's do something different. Well, let's bring out the LG Wing that has the little screen that flips up to the side. And sure, it looks funny and goofy, but they actually, decided as a company to put their marketing and their money behind that idea to see if they could stir the pot a little bit. And phones have become boring. They really have. Maybe they don't need to be more than what they are, though.
I think when you go to Stacy's level of multiple devices, you have a blob that's your personal thing. It goes to different devices. It goes to your glasses or your ears or your Will.i.am mask or whatever. That's when it's personal distributed computing becomes interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So who knows? Maybe Sundar Pichai will read my my question to him after all, and then we'll know, and then we can get ready for the future. Let's take a break, and then when we get back, Stacy, you want to talk about the Nest Hub 2 because I know you were bummed to miss out on last week.
Oh yeah, because I had it. Yes, I will talk about it. I will show it to you.
Awesome, excellent. We can get your take on the Nest Hub 2. When we come back or when we return to the show. But first, let's take a break and thank the sponsor of this episode of This Week in Google. This episode is brought to you by Melissa. So, if you've ever forgotten to check the date on a carton of milk or pretty much any food that you have in your refrigerator, like milk, customer data, you may think it lasts forever. But it goes bad. Eventually, it goes bad. In fact, up to 30% of customer data goes bad each year. Melissa makes sure that your data is accurate, make sure that it's current so that you reach the right customers all the time. Their tools have helped businesses maintain fresh data for over 35 years. They've been doing this a long time. They know data. Melissa knows data. That's why over 10,000 businesses trust the address experts. With Melissa, you can validate existing customer data and you can find new customers. So you aren't wasting time and money dealing with all of that inaccurate customer data, that spoiled milk, in other words. So you can get accurate data that helps you get to know your customers even better. So you can do things like verify, their addresses, emails, phone numbers, names, all in real time with Melissa. And you'll see this on websites when you're plugging in an address and it gives you that kind of that autofill. It's pinging a database. Often what you're looking at, that's Melissa working on the back end, filling that information for you, giving you that up-to-date, correct information. Melissa's global address verification service verifies addresses for more than 240 countries and territories at the point of entry. If you're tired of having duplicate customer information in your database, well, Melissa's data matching ultimately eliminates clutter and duplicates. So it increases the accuracy of your database and reduces things like postage and mailing costs that might be associated with getting that wrong. Get the information that completes your customer profiles better and more thoroughly so you can add consumer demographic information to your records, such as property data. You can insert in marital status, social media handles. That's super useful. Melissa's flexible deployment options offer different platforms that'll suit any preference, any business size, any budget. With flexible on-prem web service, secure FTP processing, and software as a service delivery options, ultimately that just means you can choose the best way to meet the unique needs of your business. Melissa continually undergoes independent security audits. That's to reinforce their commitment to their data security, privacy, and compliance requirements. So SOC 2, HIPAA, GDPR compliant, no problems there. Melissa's supporting communities and qualifying essential workers as well during COVID-19. So you can see if your organization qualifies for 6 months of free service. All you got to do is apply online for that. Don't put up with sour customer contact data. Try Melissa's APIs in the developer portal. It's super easy to log on, sign up, and then start playing in the API sandbox anytime, 24/7. Get started today with 1,000 records cleaned for free at melissa.com/twit. That's melissa.com/twit. We thank Melissa for their support of This Week in Google. All right. So the Nest Hub 2, and Stacey, you've had this for a little while. I imagine you've been sleeping with this to the side of your bed, analyzing your sleep and giving you data that you can do something with. I don't know.
Well,
what do you
think? Yes and no. So let's see what you can see. So I moved it out of my bedroom, so you can't see my sleep data, but you can see, like right there, it's telling you I have no sleep data, but it's giving me, the typical Google home screen, possibly in dark mode. Jeff, don't look.
No. I'm asleep, though. It doesn't matter.
So I'm trying to see. One of the things I didn't like about it is you have to use the Google Fit app. Okay, actually, let's start this whole thing off like a formal review. Here's what we're talking about. We're talking about this device. It's a 7-inch Google Nest display that sits by your bedroom. Or that they want it to sit by your bedroom, because 20% of people apparently put these devices in their bedroom, and Google is like, oh, I know. Well, I'll work that angle.
Right.
Normally, and it has Google's Solly radar in it, and that is what it uses to track your sleep. And it tells you, I'd show you, but right now the photo is of my daughter, so I'm not going to show you that. When I get to a photo of something that I can show you, I'll show you how it shows your sleep tracking. You opt into it. It is all right. I had a real issue with it deciding that I was sleeping when I was just laying in bed reading. And Google will tell you, no, it knows you're just reading in bed and it shows you that. But mine actually showed me as being asleep. So it also it has 3 mics, and it uses the mics to determine if you're snoring or if you are coughing. What I did discover is that, well, sometimes I do snore. Sometimes my husband snores, and Google can't really tell who's snoring. It can tell that I'm tossing and turning because it only notices me, but it doesn't know who's snoring. So that's one thing. The sleeping was pretty tied to my Fitbit when it worked. I will say I absolutely hated when I didn't sleep well and Google would be like, you slept too much last night, or you need to improve your bedtime. I was like, shut up, Google. Do not tell me what to do. I got really upset with Google. I was not prepared for those kind of emotions that came out. Partially, I think, because my Google is a male's voice, and I did not need a man telling me how I slept. It's like,
don't man sleep me.
I really think that was it. I'm just like, normally it doesn't bother me that Google uses a man's voice, but when Google was like judging my sleep, I was like, oh no. It's super easy. It's super comfortable. If you want to track your sleep and, you don't want to like spend a lot of time on it, this is fine. It's not going to change the way you sleep unless you're just ready for that. Just because, you've got to go to bed at a regular time every night, right? You got to wake up at the same time every day. But it's not like you're actually going to do that unless you're going to do it, right? Google's not going to change that. It can do things like suggest that you lower your lights, and it'll be like, do you want us to lower your lights at the best time for you to go to sleep? And you're like, no, I do not want you in charge of my life, Google. So anyway, home control is fine. It listens a lot better. It sounds so much better than the original one. There is no camera on it. And I mean, I like this. I put it in my office for now, just because I've got a Fitbit, so I already know how I sleep. Yeah. Questions?
Well, some of the stuff you mentioned there, like the whole warning of, okay, you should probably start dimming your lights right about now. I think that's a good idea for people that don't quite understand, circadian rhythms and getting your body tuned up for proper rest. Right?
Mm-hmm. That is true. Yeah.
I'd be like Stacey. I'd be arguing with it.
Yeah.
No, I'm not ready to. Don't nanny me. No.
And that's why you sound the way you sound every day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's up to you. If you want, I mean, is it helpful? The other thing I will say, because I did voice matching, and I don't know what it'll tell me. How did I sleep last night?
It looks like you don't have any sleep data reported for that day.
Okay. But if you had asked that and you were here, Jeff, it wouldn't actually tell you because it's tuned to my voice. So it ties like the sleep data to my voice, which is nice. So I guess if my husband wanted to know how I slept, he couldn't.
Right.
So that was nice. I don't know what else to tell you.
What are the three dots on the top, Stacey? Hardware?
Oh. Microphone? I don't know what y'all can see. Hold on. This is the Soli thing right here.
The center thing, okay.
The center thing, and then those are microphones, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Did you ever have the Pixel 4 or the 4 XL? Or was it only the 4 XL that had the Soli radar? Or I can't remember if they both did.
Yeah. But... Okay, here's a picture. This is what it looks like. See that little thing up there in this corner? If you have sleep sensing on, that's how you know, and it's always on there, so you know that it's going to try to like watch you sleep.
Got it.
So that's a little.
What a cute doggy! Who's a good puppy? Who's a good dog?
Cute puppies. Does the Soli radar make more sense for a device like this than it did on a mobile phone?
Yes. Oh, and you can start like this is actually kind of neat in my office setting or in the kitchen. Like I don't actually have to touch the screen if it's playing stuff. I can swipe to the next song or pause the music. I think this is pause. I haven't actually paused.
How reliable is that for you, actually?
I got up to 4 feet away and it was reliable.
Wow.
So,
because I can't say that about the 4XL phone. Just swiping through Spotify or what have you is the worst experience. I'm like, just pick up the phone and tap the button.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be surprised if anyone that has that phone actually is still trying to make that stuff work because it never works.
You know what, y'all? It's probably about 3 feet away. Now that I'm
that's
thinking
impressive.
About it.
Still, yeah,
that's impressive.
I mean, it's probably a larger
sensor.
I imagine it's a larger sensor. Yeah.
It's nice if you're playing in if you're in the kitchen or your hands are dirty. Like I do it because I'm lazy and it's far away on my desk, but everything has to be cleared in front of it. So it's not like if there's something in front of it, obviously won't see it.
Right.
I'm literally having my morning routine of washing my face, brushing my teeth or whatever, and I have music going, and every now and then I want to hear something with a little more oomph. So I swipe in the air like a Jedi to tell Spotify to go to a different track. Never happened. And the phone's right there on the sync with me, you know. It's right there. Never happened.
Is this how much? I can't remember how much this is. Oh, Lord.
I think it's $99.
I think so too.
Pretty amazing.
I just wanted to $99. You could put this in your bathroom. There's no camera. There are microphones.
Right.
There is a physical switch for the off button for the mic. So if you wanted to stick that in your bathroom and use solely, you could it wouldn't have the sounds of you peeing, I guess, if you're worried about that. And then I don't think it would work.
While you're in the shower, you could change tracks.
Well, I don't know how far away your shower is and the moisture rating on this thing, but
I was going to say I wonder how well it would stand up to
the humid bathroom. Whoops.
Yeah, there is that aspect. But sweet. I mean, $100 is not that expensive. I know that the marquee feature of this, or at least the feature that Google is really touting, is the sleep tracking. And I'm just in that camp where I'm like, how important is knowing sleep data about myself to me? It's not at all. But I realize other people have different needs. I just don't know what I would do with that information. I know when I wake up in the morning whether I had a good sleep or not.
So I'll tell you what, you'll stop drinking alcohol. Because good golly gosh, I sleep. I mean, after 5 days of no alcohol, I can totally see it in my sleep pattern. And it's, I mean, it's really distressing. I'll be honest. I'll be like, oh man, do I want to sleep? Do I want to have some restorative deep sleep tonight? Or do I want to have a glass of wine?
Right.
These are terrible
I was going to
decisions.
say that. I was going to say something similar along those lines, Mr. Howell. That information is important if you're someone like me that knows they have bad sleeping habits, to be able to get some type of analysis on what happened the previous day and previous night's sleep, to try to combat that and lead up to a better night's sleep. The days that I really, really push myself physically, doing calisthenics or whatever, I'm assuming I'm going to just crash and just sleep like the best ever. And most of the time it's not that. It's usually the inverse of that. I'm wide, waking up more often and stuff like that. So I have to try to curtail how much I push myself during the day, because I still want to sleep, but yet be able to recover properly to be able to perform the next day. So that data is pretty important. I wonder, since we have the Pixel 4 XL, would we be able to get something like this in that phone? Because you have phone stands out there that you can put on your nightstand, and it has the sensor right there. I wonder if we could do that in the future.
I don't think, since they didn't put it in the 5, I don't think Google's investing solely on the phone.
No.
And all of
the phone,
this is important.
So.
All of the data, all your sleep radar data is processed locally on the device, and only the insights are sent to the cloud. So that's really important. And your phone processor could do it, but
I'm guessing the sensor that provides the Soli radar capabilities is pretty small on the phone, because it needed to be, and I'm guessing it's not as small on the Nest Hub, because that's a larger form factor device. It gives more distance. That's probably why on the phone you have to be really close to it for it to register anything. Versus the Nest Hub, if you can get
close enough to just pick it up. I don't think you can do
any of those interactions on the phone from 3 feet away. I don't think it's going to do nothing when you try that.
I did want to say
there's that too.
There's one other thing about this that gives me pause, and I don't like the way that Google did this. I see why they did it. They talked about this in the launch for this. They said, hey, for now, the sleep sensing is a free feature. And when I was doing the calibration, there was a tiny little message on the screen that said something about the Nest Aware subscription, warning me that it might become part of that. And I was like, whoa. But it's possible that after Google figures out what it's going to do with Fitbit, it will turn the sleep tracking into a paid feature, which means, I hope they don't do it this way. At least they're trying to tell you. But if the sleep sensing is really important to you on this device, know that you may end up having to pay more for it after, in a year.
Yeah.
which is a little sucky.
And to not know the details of that now is kind of, especially if you're buying the device for that, that's
I feel like Google should probably, the best way to implement that would be like, going forward, for buyers of this device, it's going to cost X. But if you already have it, you got a year free.
Right. Yeah, something like that.
Or free forever, you know.
Like I realize maybe it's me not understanding what it takes to run a business, but I kind of feel like, you know, this is Google we're talking about. They were floating free storage on photos for years with how many trillions
fiber networks around the country at cost
like this
billions.
Is sleep data. Like, the comparison's way different. Like, just why pay for sleep data? Like, I don't know. Give it to us for free.
If you think, Jeff, like, let's talk about what Sundar wants and thinks the future of. If it's not slabs of glass and advertising, it is services.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
Wearables, having that data. I'm just putting that out there.
And Andreessen, I think, recently said that, you know, you were talking about what the decades of the net before, and that we're passing out of the advertiser-supported net into the, from his view, because Andreessen Horowitz thinks it's a media company, into paying creators directly net. But a different way you can look at it is you go from the ad-supported net to the service net. Now, the problem is very few winners there. Very few. People aren't going to, you know, there's only so many places you're going to spend your money on stuff, on services, on content, on anything. And the marketing cost of it is extremely high. So I don't know that that's any Valhalla you arrive at. But nonetheless, you're right, Stacey. Services with value, I think packaged services with value. Then the brand matters. Then do you trust Google to do all these services for you? Do you trust Amazon to do it for you? Do you trust Facebook? No, you don't. And so on.
Yep. Well, cool. Okay, so it sounds like you're pretty positive on this device. I mean, there's obviously a couple of asterisks involved. The sleep, you know, the potentially having to pay for the sleep data somewhere down the line, something that someone's going to have to ask themselves. But $100 for this device, even if it doesn't do the sleep data, if you take sleep data and sleep tracking out of the equation, is it a recommend? Is it worth $100?
Sorry, if you don't have an
now we hear you.
Oh, I was like,
I don't know what happened.
If you don't have a Nest, a Google Nest display, I don't know what the heck to call these things right now, or you want one without a camera, this is a great one. If you already have one, unless you listen to a lot of music, I mean, it'd be worth upgrading if you really care about the quality of the sound. It's not going to sound as good as like the Nest Audios, but it sounds way better than the first small Nest Hub display. Then you'd upgrade. But yeah, for $99, it's a great digital picture frame. I mean, the sunrise alarm is nice. I feel like it's okay.
Yeah. I remember when the standalone Google Home was $130, and that was just a little dome looking thing with no screen. So, you know, the price on
So I didn't put this in the rundown, but your old friends at Sonos, did you see this? Are building a speaker into hidden art with IKEA.
Yes, the Symphony.
Oh, really?
Symphony.
Right. So you could imagine this Google stuff being embedded into all kinds of things. You know, your light switches, as you said earlier, and God knows what all.
I feel like light switches are a terrible medium for speakers, but
yes.
Tiny little speakers.
I mean, they exist. I've actually tried. I've tried light bulbs that have speakers. I mean, so you pop them in your ceiling and your light bulbs.
Really?
Yeah.
You've tried everything.
Senglid makes a lot of really interesting light bulbs if you're in the smart light bulb market, and they're very inexpensive. So, anyway.
I remember hearing about the speaker light bulbs and wondering if it would actually work because of all of the heat.
They're LEDs, so they're not.
LEDs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Y'all, the father of LEDs died last week, in case we want to honor that. Because
I didn't know that.
He got a New York Times.
I had not heard that.
I can't.
Who's it? Isamu Akasaki?
Yes.
Blue LED inventor who shared the Nobel Prize in Physics. Died at 92.
Rest peacefully.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, I had missed that too. LEDs are all the rage, so thank you for that.
That was really random, but I was like, blue LEDs used to be like difficult and expensive and rare, and he helped change that.
Yeah, no kidding. Let's see here. Cool. Well, thank you for your thoughts on that. I was very curious about that. We do have a little bit more Google news here. Let's see here.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I know. It looks like all these, at least this week, there's two notable names of people leaving Google. One of them, an AI ethics researcher, Sami Bengio. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name. I probably am. One of those was wrong anyways. Google research manager. He oversaw the AI ethics group, quit on Tuesday. Actually, Timnit Gebru and Margaret Mitchell both actually reported to Sami. He's been with the company since 2007. And so he has bailed as well. This whole AI ethics thing is just the hits keep coming for Google as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, this was poor thinking because it's not like AI experts are a dime a dozen, right? These people can go anywhere. And so,
yeah.
If they don't like what you're doing,
that would be
as a
something
company,
to ask Pichai at I/O, but it's not necessarily for I/O. Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and the thing is, like, he's only going to answer
the gatekeeper.
Exactly. He's only going to answer the ones that they feel comfortable answering. And I just, something tells me they would choose to not answer that.
Oh, come on.
Which I suppose doesn't mean don't ask, but
have some guts, guys. You're Google.
You can do it. Not only that, the boss, the head of Waymo, John Krafcik, or is it Krafcik? Why can I not pronounce people's names? Anyways, announced his departure. He's been with the company 5.5 years. He was essentially brought in 2015 to help bring Waymo to more of a commercial viability state. And I think Google and Waymo kind of expected self-driving vehicles and the Waymo division to be further along now than it is. But this is just the way of Waymo, I suppose, right now. So he's going to be replaced by co-CEOs, Tekedra Mawakena and Dmitry Dolgov are going to replace him. So it takes two people to replace Krafcik. So
once left a job at the Chicago Tribune, they had to replace me with two people, and it feels really good when that happens.
Yeah,
I told you I was working too hard.
I was like, I think it's the worst. You're like, oh man, I was so working way too hard.
I was such a schmuck.
Right.
Yeah.
It's confirmation. It's confirmation that you're leaving, and that was probably a good move. When I read through this, though, the question that came up for me is: are we as tech journalists and our consumers who are like really pro tech and pro autonomous vehicles, are we just too optimistic about the future of self-driving cars versus what can actually be delivered at this point? Do we feel like things will be more delivered than they are right now, or do we feel like it's on track?
It's a bit late. I mean, I remember thinking my daughter wouldn't have to get her driver's license if
everything
went according to plan.
And
I thought 2020 was going to be the year for all of this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I'd like to see this to continue to progress. So I'm not totally poo-pooing it or anything, but we still
it is progressing.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, it's like when you move, right? The last like 80% is what is it? Come on, y'all, help me out here. It's like you're like 90% packed, and the last like 10% takes the most amount of time, or is the most difficult.
Yeah, I know.
It's all the little stuff that's not quite so easy to just remove.
That's where we are. We're like, we got the big stuff down, and now we're like, oh crikey, people walk in the middle of the street where they're not supposed to. What are we going to do about that?
That's a really good point. Yeah. Good point. All right. So optimistic again. That's self-driving cars. You're doing all right. You're doing all right, autonomous vehicles. Let's see here. My voice is going. Sorry about that. Did you guys hear about this Lyra codec? I thought this was neat. Google had announced this a month ago, I think, in relation to Duo. And essentially, it's an audio codec that Google has been developing to specifically for low, like really slow connections. So essentially, this would allow for high quality audio to be transmitted over even 2G connections.
Yeah, I think we talked about it at the time because it was meant for countries with less bandwidth.
Yeah,
make a big difference.
And they were bringing
emerging
it to Duo.
markets.
Right, emerging markets, places where they might only have 2G connectivity, right? Like it's not something that we see here in the U.S., but in other parts of the world, absolutely. And it turns out Google has open sourced this. I think they said they were going to do this initially. They just hadn't done it yet. Now they're open sourcing Lyra and making the code available on GitHub, so that other developers creating their own products can bring in that technology and improve the audio quality and reduce the level of data that's required in order to transmit it. So that's cool stuff.
I think that's the key, opening it up to the community and letting more hands and eyes get involved in this to really bring this to life and make it better. Support, on the other hand, may be another story, but at least this is something that'll be out there in the wild for people to be able to take advantage of.
Yeah, we'll certainly see how it distributes and how it's used and what that leads to. But I think that's good news. Google has acquired a startup, and this is what is it called? Dysonics. So apparently this happened last December, and we're only just finding out about it now. And Google's been kind of cagey as far as any of this. They're not really commenting on it much, but Dysonics, as the company prior to acquisition, developed a motion tracker for headphones. So this would have this acquisition, it would seem, would have to do with 3D audio, which when
or could they finally fix the damn Pixel Buds?
This is like the worst news, if you ask me. Why am I going to worry about 3D and spatial audio and stuff like that if just regular functioning earbuds don't quite work?
Yeah.
So that's come on, Google.
Maybe they're going to come out in like a year or two with something that's actually good and work and revolutionary.
If it just works.
Eventually. It just works, ... eventually. Apple is doing this with their Apple AirPods
Magic
Pro, I believe.
I was thinking of the Magic headphones.
Or was it? Was it the larger ones?
I know the big over the ear $500 something ones have it. I don't know about the fancier Pros.
Yeah,
Pros. AirPods.
I believe also, the AirPods Pro article I read anyway said AirPods Pro. So the 3D audio is there, spatial audio is there. Galaxy Buds Pro also offer this. The idea being, if you're watching something that supports it, like, when you go to move your head, the sound, like, I don't know that I've ever really experienced this, to be honest, but the sound will kind of follow your head movement, while in some cases keeping the dialogue at the point, the place in space where the person is that's talking, just as one example. So
problem with Pixel Buds is you moved your head, no sound followed you.
Right. You move your head and it drops off incompletely. Completely.
The closest I've seen is like with the Oculus and what's the other one? The Vive. They had ambisonic sound with their 360 video. And
that's true.
That's about as close as you're going to get.
Yeah.
And this is designed for things like AR, right? And VR. This isn't, I think it could be cool if you're imagining Alien remastered for that, where you're you turn your head and suddenly everything's, changes. But really, I think it's for less today's entertainment and more the immersive entertainment of the future.
Yeah.
Right.
Make more sense anyway.
Where it might appear, 9 to 5 Google posits, possibly the Google Pixel Buds like we've been talking, but I don't know. I guess I don't think of that kind of media experience as a tiny little earbud that you put in your ear. I think of that more as the over-the-ear kind of a bigger presentation sort of approach. So who knows what that means.
Let me ask you something, Mr. Howell. With having earbuds in your ear versus wearing cans, I'm assuming you just have a less immersive experience wearing earbuds because of a fit or something like that. Because a lot of times the earbuds, if they're properly fit, they block out a lot of ambient sound.
Yeah, it's true.
Is that something that you have fought against and just rather have cans?
Honestly, I think I was going to say I think it depends on the application. It depends on what I'm doing. If I'm out gardening, I'd much rather have the earbuds, and that's perfectly fine. I can put on noise cancellation, and it really doesn't matter. But if I'm sitting down in front of a screen and I'm watching something, I would much rather have the over-ear experience and get, because inevitably, at least the headphones that I'm going to use that are over-ear are probably going to be better drivers, larger components.
Yeah.
It's just going to sound a little better because it has the space to do that versus in earbuds. But I mean, they're coming a long way. Now we're getting
they're getting there.
Isolation.
Some of them are.
Absolutely. We're getting great isolation.
I bought some with noise cancellation and all sorts of fancy things.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Yeah. I just did a comparison a couple of weeks ago of the Galaxy Buds
you had a
Pro
Jabra Elites, right?
And the Jabra 85, the Elite 85.
That's what I just got.
Yeah, those are my favorites. I love those. Yeah, I've been with the Jabras for a few years now, and I'm really
me too.
Every
I upgraded
iteration
from the
is just better and better.
65T.
Yeah, that's a good upgrade.
Twit.tv/hot. Twit.tv/hot. On tech.
Thank you for the promo. Yeah, I think that was last week's episode or the week before. I can't remember.
No, it was the week before. Last week's was Cal Digit.
There we go. But they've come a long way. They're doing noise, active noise cancellation now. I think with those, it's all about the fit. You got to get the tips that fit your ear canal perfectly, because if they're too big, they're going to push out. If they're too small, they're going to fall out, and you're not going to get that nice bass response. So you got to find the right fit. And some people just do not care for that like suction feeling. I think I'm used to it at this point. But if I'm going to sit down and watch a movie, I would much rather have, over the ear, or I'm going to listen to like an album at my desk. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So who knows? Maybe Google will come out with an over the ear solution similar to what Apple has done recently. That could absolutely happen. I could totally see that. Oh boy, I'm realizing we should probably take a break. Let's take a break, and then we're probably going to branch out beyond the Google after we take this break. And there's some news, some Facebook news, some other things dotted throughout. I actually just saw in the chat that Twitter might be in talks to acquire Clubhouse. We could talk about
those talks ended.
Those talks ended, so they're not might. They're now. Oh, they happen to. Which
it happened in whatever.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, of course someone's going to be like, oh, crap, everyone's on Clubhouse. Let me call them up and be like, I'll give you a crazy amount of money.
Barely qualifies as news.
Totally. Yeah. All right, well, then fine. We won't talk about that. We'll talk about something else. I don't know. We got a whole lot more in here and having a great time hanging out with you guys. Jeff Jarvis, Stacey Higginbotham, and Pruitt, thank you for welcoming me to the show today. I appreciate it.
Always.
Let's see here. We want to tell you about CacheFly. CacheFly is the sponsor of this week's episode of This Week in Google. CacheFly is also the deliverer of so much of Twit's media throughout the years. CacheFly is the CDN that has been innovating content delivery since 1999. And we here at Twit, we know them well because we've been working with them and using them for over 10 years. So you wouldn't be getting the media that you get from us if it wasn't for CacheFly. They are awesome. CacheFly now offers ultra low latency streaming. And it's not the WebRTC solution that's let you down in the past. Stream delays are less than 1 second. And that's just kind of the start. There are plenty more perks there. They have an HTML5 player that offers easy support anywhere with SDK available for even better mobile support, whether you need your player to run on websites or applications, mobile devices, or another platform. CacheFly has you covered. CacheFly is the fastest CDN for throughput globally. They have over 50 POPs distributed all over the world. They have a low latency network. That means that your video streams are going to be streaming quickly anywhere you have viewers, regardless of what continent they're on. They're going to be served much closer to where they actually are, that content isn't coming from halfway across the world, in other words. Also super scalable. CacheFly's ultra low latency video platform can deliver video to more than 1 million users concurrently, as well as ingest thousands of synchronous streams. And you get reliable ingest there as well. Their platform is designed for transmuxing thousands of streams simultaneously with live failover. They can ingest RTMP, RTMPS, SRT, and so much more to deliver ultra low latency SLDP and HLS streams at the same time. And you can get a solution that's really tailored exactly for you. You get a custom built solution based on your unique needs. And it's built on top of their reliable, robust global network with ingest and delivery where you actually need it. And best of all, they have 24/7, 365-day priority support. So you know they're always going to be there for you when you need them. CacheFly's infrastructure is massive. They can support more than 1 million concurrent streams today. Because of their reliable throughput and scalability, they are up to 5 times faster than other CDNs. It's the world's most reliable CDN backed by a 100% SLA. And CacheFly is helping others in need as well. They've partnered with World Central Kitchen. They have a goal of serving 300,000 warm meals. And so far, they've already donated over $50,000. So they're giving back, which is awesome. CacheFly pioneered the first Anycast CDN infrastructure in 2002, and their best hop technology automatically finds the fastest route to and from customer origin across their global network of POPs for maximum performance and reliability. So just for TWiT listeners, CacheFly is giving away a complimentary detailed analysis of your current CDN bill and usage trends, so you can see if you're overpaying 20% or more for your CDN. Learn more at twit.cachefly.com. That's twit.cachefly.com. And if you've liked getting TWiT content reliably and exactly when you want it, when you need it, and fast, then you're going to like CacheFly, because that's what we've used. And we thank CacheFly for their support. I love having them on board with the TWiT network. Thank you, guys. All right.
Breaking news. Breaking news.
Oh, okay, great. Jump into the breaking news.
There's a ketchup shortage.
Oh, really?
I just thought I'd throw that in.
We were so excited, and now we're like,
I know. Oh, ketchup.
Okay. You can go back to normal. It's okay.
Well, there might be more detail in there. Like what?
No, it's all right.
What is
it?
Right. Is it just Heinz only?
Pandemic related? I don't understand. I think people were using a lot of ketchup during the pandemic. So no, we don't have to.
Restaurants are facing a nationwide ketchup shortage.
Ketchup shortage. This is bad. This is a sauce shortage.
It's true. I mean, I can only think of what we've done in this household to contribute to the ketchup shortage, and we definitely have used our fair share of ketchup. We've got 2 young daughters, so
I was going to say it's all because there's a bunch of children in homes nowadays. That's
right. Totally right.
That's all it is.
It's not.
That was that. And parents don't want to cook like actual food. You're like, chicken nuggets again. Yes.
Yeah,
you went exactly where I was about to go, Stacey. I was going to say, after a year of being here with the kids and realizing like it used to be easy to like send them to school and you knew at least some of your meals were going to be like passed off onto somebody else. Now it's like we've got to get really creative. 3 meals a day, every single day of the week, every single week of the year. At a certain point, it's like, I don't care. Drench it in ketchup, whatever it takes to eat.
As long as you just eat it.
Mac and cheese. I think my daughter eats that like probably 5 times a week. And I feel no guilt.
Mac and cheese and ketchup. Oh, man.
Well, not together.
No, together. No joke.
No. That's real talk. I've heard that too. Yes.
Yes. No. Okay. No, I'm not saying that for me. I don't know that I've ever had ketchup in my mac and cheese, and it sounds disgusting. But I kid you not. Last night I was reading my daughter a story called I think it's called Chrysanthemum, and in it the kid in the story talks about having her mac and cheese with ketchup. So it's a thing. It's in kids' stories.
Oh, no, we've just spread it. See what you've done now? You're a vector of disinformation out there in the world.
I'm amplifying ketchup in mac and cheese. I'm sorry.
Oh. See, this is how it happens.
I didn't mean to do that. That's how it happens. Let's see here. How about more than 500 million users' phone numbers and data leaked?
Can you explain this to me? That was a 2019 leak. Why is it in the news now? I'm just not. It was put up somewhere.
The data was actually put up for people to have access to. Beforehand, it was leaked, but no one shared it.
So who put it up? Who had it to put it up?
Whoever.
I didn't follow that story.
I don't know that we know, or I don't know that I've seen anyways, who put it up necessarily yet. However, it is now appearing on the dark web for free. So it's not even this large mass amount of information that is being, sold on the dark web. It's just there. And anyone has access to it. And it has, a lot of phone number information.
Oh my God, they're going to ruin the phone. Jeez, I might be getting junk calls.
Could be.
Oh, I get the phone is useless. Useless.
That's true. I get far more spam calls on my phone number than I do actual calls.
Oh, yeah. That's why the Google screening is so great. Google's like, "Hey, do you want me to screen this?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I do."
Yeah. Yeah, why is my phone not doing that lately, though? That's a good point. Lately, I'm not seeing that.
How do you turn that on? Where do you turn that on?
Every time I update Google, I lose features and gain features, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. It drives me bonkers. Where did I turn that on? I think it offered it to me one day.
Do I have...
What bugs me is every time I open the dialer, it has that whole, do you want to place them on hold while they have you on hold? Whatever the little... I think
screen calls. There it is.
There it is.
Yeah, screen. Yours is verified.
Where'd you get to it? How'd you get to it?
So if you go into your phone app, I'm not going to go out there because it's got a bunch of other stuff.
So not my settings.
You go into settings, then you've got down here at the bottom spam and call screen as a feature, and so that's where you go, and you can activate that in there. But apparently, I had it activated, so I had it on. So I don't know why I'm seeing spam calls.
You know what? You want me to call you and offer you insurance?
I'm seeing.
Just do it. Do it.
I'm seeing less spam calls. I'm seeing a lot of spam text messages, like tons of them. Suddenly, so I don't know. They get you any way they can. Yeah. So there was that with Facebook. I mean, it's just a lot of people's information. But you're right. I mean, at this point, I feel like I see this story a million times every single month. Like at a certain point, I just kind of get desensitized to it. It's like, okay, well, it's data. It's already out there. When I go to haveibeenpwned.com, there's like 10 different things that I've been pwned.
Yes.
But it goes back to like 2007 for me. It lists them all. So you think, oh my God, I went and did it again. And it's, all
again. Yeah. Yeah. I did not find my information in the they have updated haveibeenpwned.com, by the way, with the information from the Facebook dump. And I did not find my information in there. At least you can put in your phone number.
No, I didn't either.
A part of that.
Mark Zuckerberg.
But I mean, there is a security element to that too. I would imagine, like for like two-factor authentication that uses a phone, that could be a vector for someone who really wants to take advantage of some of the phone numbers they find in there. It could also not just be locked into like spam calls. It could be people who kind of use it on a deeper level, to do two-factor. But how likely is that to happen to everybody? I don't know.
Yeah.
Things to fear, I guess. How about
the other story I didn't want to delve into? You made it green, but I'm just going to ask here: is the Amazon urination story?
Okay, we don't need to.
Well, no. I have a question.
Just
I presume
green
that
doesn't mean it has to be talked about.
No, but I presume that in a time of COVID and every restaurant and every store and everybody closes all their restrooms.
Yeah.
I just presumed that part of the problem was if you're driving all day for Amazon, how do you? Okay. Is that a factor in this story, or do we not care?
Well, I mean, the issue was
they lied. That was an issue.
Well, I'm just thinking about the fact that drivers have to pee in bottles. Part of it was their quotas didn't allow for time for biological functions, right? You just had to make these package deliveries. And then the secondary issue was where can they go to do it?
Right.
And this is something the UPS people and everybody, I mean, this is not just...
It's not just Amazon, yeah.
It's everybody right now. It's got to be tough out there.
Well, even before, I mean, it's not like if your UPS guy was like, "Hey, can I use your bathroom?" You'd be like, "No, dude."
Hey, quite frankly, if you're just an average Aunt Pruitt, sometimes they're not going to let you use the bathroom either because people are closing down their bathrooms because there's so much idiocy happening inside of bathrooms, destroying them and whatnot. So, yeah, this isn't really an Amazon problem. This is just, it is what it is.
I agree.
Today.
The UPS guy goes to a bookstore and says, "Can I use your bathroom?" In the old days, he would have said, "Sure, dude." But now, no, it's closed to everybody, including staff, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a definite, like, we're going to talk about infrastructure week. There is a definite public restroom infrastructure shortage here in the U.S. I mean, in like Europe, there's pay toilets.
Pissoirs.
Japan.
We need pissoirs.
Nope.
I know it's an awful word.
I'm not saying the word.
You almost baited her.
Stacey, it's French. It's okay.
It's not. I'm not doing it. Anyway. We really do need.
This is going to be a challenge. Now we're going to have to find the time we can get Stacey to say pissoir. We're going to find a way. We're going to find a reason. It's going to happen.
Anyway, we really do need public bathrooms.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I had not considered that aspect. I had not thought about this story through that lens. That is a really good
as
point.
A parent,
where do you go?
Mean, remember, like,
right.
I mean, I bullied somebody here very recently, letting my daughter in to use the bathroom, even though she's 14 and really should know how to go to the bathroom before we leave the house. But that's okay.
I'm not going to ask you anymore. You're 14. I used to ask you, and you got mad at me when I asked you, so I'm not going to ask you anymore. It's your responsibility.
But if you have young children, I mean, what do you do with them?
Yeah. Carry around.
So Amazon screws up so much, right? They screwed up. They lied about it. That was stupid. They could have said, "Hey, the conversation we just had," but they get back. Then there's. I read a story about the union, and the union. Fine, unionize them. Just let it happen. It's going to happen anyway. But that process is going to drag on forever now.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, there's just a wide kind of unionization thing happening with big tech right now. So I know Leo has mentioned, in recent weeks, like these stories are less technology and more labor, labor social laws and stuff. And so maybe less appropriate or less necessary to be discussed on the shows. I will say though that I did not care for Amazon's response. That tweeted response really put a sour taste in my mouth, and I was just like, oh, come on, like what? I can understand not agreeing, but it was such a pissy tone. It was like, you don't need to do that.
Did you have to say that way, Jason?
Yeah, I was like, Jason, wow.
Another
really
rim
say
shot.
That, Jason?
Such a pissoir tone.
That's better.
Okay, good. Is that a word we can't say on this show? It probably is.
I think we're headed toward pissoir as man, sleep me. Okay, I leave that. That's a better show title. Yeah, that's a better show.
But would you have preferred a standard PR playbook tweet response? I appreciate the fact that this was almost human what they tweeted back. Instead of we are taking actions to blah, 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 that every big tech company says straight out of the PR playbook, page 25.
But they lied.
Yeah, that's the problem. They lied.
Yeah.
They just had
I was like, so they're, instead of taking a page from the PR playbook, they're taking one from the Trump administration playbook where you're just this is an alternative fact. No,
right.
They lied.
There's nothing to see.
That was not cool.
Dude, y'all, I am so blurry. What is happening to my camera? I've got the Barbara Walters effect.
No, I don't know.
Bandwidth?
No, I plugged in. Okay, sorry.
Jason's
I'm like
crisp.
Well,
I don't mind being filmy and soft.
Streisand. You can start singing like Streisand.
Exactly. I cannot. Tone deaf.
What about the ACLU story? That got a little bit of attention. ACLU was coming under fire. It was revealed last week that it was sharing data with Facebook, which, I mean, who isn't? But when it comes down to it, it's ACLU, and they're an organization that kind of makes kind kind of makes a statement against.
I'm getting paywalled. What were they sharing and why?
Yeah, they're usually for the people, right?
Yeah, for the people. So
they were
sharing
the context.
So this is information that was collected when people were visiting the site, when they were signing up with mailing lists, buying something through the ACLU site, making donations, data shared with Facebook, including names, addresses, phone numbers. I mean,
but why?
Yeah, well, that's a great question.
Was it just negligence, or was it a business reason for them, or
I believe that I'm trying to remember exactly what it was.
They updated their privacy policy, and then when they updated their privacy policy, they disclosed that it shares data with Facebook from their website visitors. If you join a distribution list, make a purchase, or submit a donation, it includes your name, email, address, phone number, and zip codes. So basically,
why were they doing that? That's what I'm still trying to understand.
Oh, I imagine it's so they could solicit more donations from like-minded people also on Facebook.
Mm. Oh, yeah. You know what? They probably could build a like this set.
Yeah, that would be my.
That's probably what it was then. Okay. There's probably a legitimate business reason, but it's data and Facebook. You know, I just don't want to go anywhere near that third rail now.
Technopan.
Well, data. I mean, yes, data and Facebook, but then also kind of like I think what captured certain attention about this is that it's ACLU, and this would be the kind of thing that they would in other cases kind of turning the table and looking outward, going, "Hey, you shouldn't do that."
Let me look it up.
Right.
Their statement just said,
"What is that book you're reading? Is that Moral Panics?"
I'm researching.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah, and the ACLU, they punted on this. Their statement was the ACLU must often work with companies that we are actively challenging to improve their own policies and practices. So basically, yeah, we're using it too. We got to.
Yeah. I'm trying to see what else. Is there anything in here that y'all want
you
to
can
be
see
sure we
a
talk
young
about?
British person discover the taste of ranch dressing.
Oh, no.
On line 72, speaking of sauces.
I was going to say, we got ketchup in here. We've got ranch dressing.
How did we do this?
This is just Jeff is like, can I combine TikTok with
I'm being
condiments?
pixie-ish, yes. I try to find something on TikTok that'll drive Aunt crazy or somebody crazy. You don't have to do that.
Mission accomplished, sir.
You don't have to do that. Mike Masnick blows a proper gasket over the New York Times in section 230.
Oh, okay. So tell us a little bit about this Clarence. I'm assuming this is this in relation?
No, there was the Clarence Thomas. This is separate. There was the Clarence Thomas 230 where he screwed it up and he got it all wrong. But that's just Clarence Thomas. And then Masnick, the New York Times has been messing up on 230 again and again and again and again. And Masnick, God bless him, just blew a gasket about it. And he put in every link to every time they've screwed up 230. It's one more columnist getting it wrong. And at this point, I think it's purposeful. I think they've got a campaign against 230 in the internet, and it's driving me nuts. So I also just wanted to give Mike a plug because I love when he does that.
Yeah, so he's doing this and trying to raise awareness and but does the New York Times know, because they are repeat offenders of this? Have they been contacted and reached out to him and say, hey, thanks for letting us know?
No, I mean, everybody's complained on Twitter again and again and again. All the top experts have complained to the New York Times, and they just ignore it.
Isn't it mostly their opinion writers? It's not their actual journalists, right?
It is. No, they did a huge. Well, yes, primarily you're right, but there have been cases. They did a huge package. They defined 230 wrong. They had to correct it like in hours, and it took away the whole package. They have messed up again and again. It drives the law people I know just completely berserk.
That is so weird.
This is where I'm going to go to.
Back to the
I think that they're. I think it's becoming purposeful. I think that they're
driving clicks this way, right? Is it a way of
that's part of it,
clicks?
but also they're trying to disadvantage their internet competitors.
That feels pretty conspiracy oriented. Really? I mean, you're basically accusing a newspaper of lying to people, like destroying its journalism to further its own business model. Is that really what?
Why else have they gotten it wrong this many times? Completely, absolutely, utterly, simply wrong.
People are kind of not smart sometimes.
It's the New York effing Times.
The New York effing Times. Like, let me tell you how many times I read stuff in the New York effing Times, and I'm like, are you really a tech reporter? That is not how physics work.
I know. Yeah.
So again, this is
people.
when you ask where are the editors and who's above the editors that are allowing this to continue to go out.
Right. Yeah, indeed.
Okay.
Oh, well. All right. Thank you for that.
And shout out to Mr. Masnick.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah, he's awesome. I love his work.
He is the best.
He's super busy. I've tried. I've asked him to come onto Twig or Twit. He's just been so busy lately, and he has been. I mean, he's
defending the entire internet as we know it, man.
He's holding it all up on his own. So we got to give him the space to work.
And Jeff Kosseff are it. They're our only defense.
Why don't we sound the horns? Let's do the changelog. I think we're there. Let's do it.
Oh, you got
the Google changelog.
Oh yeah.
What instrument do you play, Jason? Don't you play a brass instrument yourself?
Oh boy, when I was younger, I played the trombone. I think
you ought to have a spare trombone there, just at the ready as a backup. And do the
that would be so great. That would be so great. I don't know where I'd fit it. I'm literally squashed in the corner of my bedroom.
You'd smash the camera out of the way.
We need that wide shot of Mr. Howell's studio set right now. It's beautiful.
It's a corner. It's literally a corner. I have to crawl under the desk every time.
I've seen you climb into that set a couple times in the past. It's hilarious, man.
Yeah. Hey, we make do with what we have. This was the best solution that I could come up with when the pandemic happened. So, and
you are not putting your studio in the living room. I don't care if this is how we make a living. No, you are not putting all this crap in the living room.
Well, it wasn't even that. We have a den. We actually have a den downstairs. The problem is the den has no door to close it off from the kitchen and from the living room. So I have a space. It's just the kids are going to be doing their school. My wife works out of the house as well. This was the only way that I could close a door and know that I wasn't going to disrupt everything and vice versa. So anyways, it's worked out.
Take my space.
It's worked out all right. So what's going on here? Well, let's see here. We've got the Pixel 5 getting an update, the April 2021 update, which I'm hearing at least on Twitter, a lot of people saying they're seeing some improvements. There's a GPU performance gain as part of this update. So if you've got a Pixel 5, you definitely want the April 2021 update. You might actually see some speed improvements on certain aspects.
The phone becomes less meh.
Yeah, more.
And probably a little bit of a battery bump too, right?
Probably so. Yeah, absolutely. And actually, there's a few other improvements here, camera quality, and how that translates into third-party apps, game performance. Sounds like a pretty decent upgrade for the Pixel 5. So make sure that when you see that April update, if you have it, make sure and let it go through, and you'll be happy that you did. Also, Android 12 developer preview 2.2. There's been a couple of updates actually of the developer preview. The second one, they had one that went through like a. It's like they did the developer preview 2, and then they did an update like a week ago, and now they have another one with more security patch and bug fixes. So I don't know what's going on there. Probably doesn't apply to most people watching and listening to this show because it's the developer preview. I don't know. I'm pretty positive no one on this panel is updating to the dev preview at this point. I'm not even doing it right now. So
you're not you, the god of Android, isn't?
I have it on a separate phone. So often I would actually just put it on my daily driver because I want to know. But this time I chose to put it on a separate phone. I'm going to wait until the actual beta. If it's the developer preview.
I was there the day that you locked your phone. I was there for that famous day.
I got to be careful now.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Is Mr. Howell just getting older, or is he getting older and wiser with all of this?
Definitely getting older. Remains to be seen if I'm getting wiser. Google is bringing support for the Rust programming language, which this was one of those stories I was like, okay, I'll take your word for it. I don't necessarily understand it. When I read into it further, it's essentially there are different ways to develop for Android. If you want to develop for the OS itself and not necessarily apps, if you're doing apps, you might use something like Kotlin. If you're developing for the OS itself, you might use C or C++. Rust is another way to develop for the operating system itself, and it actually addresses memory safety better than C and C++ do. So if you're a developer, that probably makes a heck of a lot more sense to you than it does to me. Google's apparently been working on this integration for the last 18 months. So there you go.
They'll be talking about it at Virtual I/O. Did you hear about Rust?
Yeah, maybe they will.
They sure will. They sure will.
About Rust.
Yes, right. A couple of years ago, we had the Kotlin announcement, and everyone in the audience went nuts for it. So I wonder if Rust would get this.
Well, that's because it's new, but Rust is not a new programming language. Kotlin was new.
Yeah. People were very excited about Kotlin.
Yeah. It's like I feel like Rust is, I feel like it's been around for like a decade, y'all. It's been a while. Okay,
well, late to the party, but at least came to the party. Google Play Music has one final update that lets you hide the app on your phone. And I'm guessing, I didn't get to read through this, but I'm guessing some phones might have Google Play Music kind of installed and it's still there, even though if you launch it, you can't get it to run anymore. And this final update will
so I called this Appicide, the update that kills the app. It's like it's the reverse of recursion.
That's actually kind of nice that they're thinking about that for people like me who like want everything on their screen to be like
uniform,
to be used. No, I just want it to be like there's no room in my life for like non-essential stuff. You just got to get rid of it. So.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Okay, yeah, I'm with you on that. Definitely.
Why have an app icon in your tray that literally does nothing? When it's done, it's done. Let me remove it, please. Absolutely agree. We were talking about the Pixel Buds earlier, and I think last week Leo may have mentioned in the changelog that there was a possibility of a Pixel Buds A coming somewhere down the pipeline, and apparently there was an email sent out. I don't know who it was sent out to exactly. Oh, it was the Google Nest mailing list. And anyways, in that email, it shows the whole family of Google devices, and under accessories or above accessories is a version of the Pixel Buds that have like a greenish, like a mint color to them. And we haven't seen that yet. That's a
somebody
version
who
of
really knows their Google stuff to notice that, because it's barely green.
Totally. But it's definitely not white either. Like the buds themselves are green, and the buds usually are white. I have one
question. So. Do they work?
That's a good question. I can't answer
none of the time. They work half the time, so there is an improvement.
If I turn my head, you know what drove me nuts about it? I could never find a pattern. Oh, it's when I turn my head this way and do that. No, it's when I do that. No, my hand is here. No, my hand is there. There was no pattern to it. Oh, it's when I'm facing east. It's when I'm facing west. No way can I find out when the damn things wouldn't work. They just often wouldn't work.
He's doing the hokey pokey while he turned himself around.
And why did it happen only outside? It basically didn't happen inside. It happened outside. Why? Air? It made no sense. None.
No walls for it to bounce off of?
I don't know. Nuts.
But you're not alone. They are very glitchy. It's disappointing because I really liked them for the totally hands-free assistant.
Yep.
For going on runs or whatever when I don't want to like have to interact with my phone or whatever. It was awesome. I could just say skip forward 30 seconds or skip forward 2 minutes, and it was awesome.
That's pretty cool.
But pretty glitchy, so there's that too. Google Workspace users are going to get some extra time to create unlimited docs. They're going to get until next year. Apparently, this was an extension that Google had initially set for docs, sheets, slides, other workspace files to not count against storage caps. I think because of the pandemic back in November, they announced this. It was going to go through June 1st, but now we're getting an extension to go into 2022. So you get more free doc files that don't count against your storage space.
Are they free forever, or come next year they start charging you for all this stuff?
That's a good question. If you create a bunch of these docks and then, that's a good question. I wonder. Delay the count. I'm guessing that it's free forever, but why would it be? I guess it should be, but usually whatever you have in your drive counts against your storage quota.
Well, right. Yeah.
So, that's a good question. I don't know the answer on that one.
Okay.
Of course, Google's storage is very cheap.
Yes, it is. I'm not going to complain. I have other things to complain about. That's not one.
Yeah.
Your earbuds and my status as a Workspaces customer in other areas. I'll complain about it.
I won't complain about it. That will never go away. That will
a few docks here or there are going to kill
me. Google is opening up Android Auto to I think third-party navigation options, parking, charging apps, just more integration with apps. In other words, Android Auto for quite a while has been in some ways kind of locked down to Google's own apps for certain things like navigation and Waze, I think eventually, and now they're opening it up even further. So that's good if you use Android Auto. I don't really use Android Auto very much. Maybe I should, but I don't.
I do. That's all I use. I don't drive anymore, so.
Well, I was you're not going anywhere, Mr. Howell, so what's the point?
That's true. Going more places now. It's opening up. Maybe I should use it again. And then finally, and I think you...
so I put this one in there. Jeff. I'm very excited about one feature. Very excited. So I've talked in the past. This is a new Chrome OS update. And a few things in it. One is I've long since wanted multiple cut and pastes. Like when I'm doing the rundown, I got to cut and paste once for the URL, cut and paste once for the headline, cut and paste once, cut and paste once. Now, when you cut and paste into Chrome OS, it displays the last 5 things you've saved into memory. So you can.
Okay.
Isn't that nice?
I used to have a separate app for that.
Do that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. We used to call it save get keys in my prehistoric days of newsroom systems. So now you can put the URL in, and then you put the headline in, and it's gonna save Jason Howell immense amounts of work. I'm very happy with that. That's a good one.
That's great.
The other one that's good is they've improved the screen grab piece. So now when you mark something, it suddenly says, do you want to save this? And you can change the shape of it. You can do all kinds of things to it and do other stuff too. So that's good. It says it directly controls your Android phone, but it won't let me do that because apparently I'm a Google Workspaces person. Wi-Fi works better. Powerful screen capture tools. We did that one already. Then keep critical files at your fingertips. Now on the bottom of the screen, it'll give you 3 little icons for the last 3 files you did something to right there. Now, Stacy's erstwhile partner in All Other Things podcast did a whole piece about how to get rid of that. But evidently, you can only get rid of it, Kevin said, for a while, because then it's going to come and be there permanently, and it's irritating people because it changes their tray. But you can keep critical files at your fingertips. More about Assistant, who cares? The desks, supposedly that's easier. I don't really use the desks. Personalize your lock screen, who cares? Easy access to your media controls, I don't care. That's it. But there's a lot of changes in Chrome OS. That was a lot.
That's a substantial update.
It's for the 10th
Starting to
birthday.
sound like a productivity OS.
Yes. I'm telling you, folks.
It's getting there.
Follow the light, children.
Yeah, you have at it, Mr. Jarvis.
The light, children.
We've been relying on Chrome OS largely in our house the past year, just for school and everything.
Yeah.
The Chromebooks that we have come in very handy.
Oh yeah.
Although I have one criticism that keeps cropping up, and that's that this has to do with family controls, basically like family time controls. What do they call it? Family Link. Is that so? Each of my daughters has a Chromebook that they use for school, And we have the Chromebook, so they also get iPads from the schools, but most of the time they end up using their Chromebook instead.
iPads, how old-fashioned.
Yeah. They're nice. They've got a keyboard attachment. It's just they prefer the Chromebooks, and I'm proud. However, they also have through Family Link their own tablet, right? They're like personal tablets, and of course, if they had it their way, they'd be on their tablets 24/7. I ramp that down. My wife and I control that, of course. But the problem is in Family Link, there is no way to tell Family Link school laptop as much time as they need to do their schoolwork. Personal tablet, just the amount of time that I want to give them. So if I set it for an hour, let's say, because they only get an hour of tablet time a day, then they're in the middle of a Zoom meeting on their Chromebook, and an hour in, it kicks them out, and locks it out, and I have to unlock it. And there's no easy way to do it.
What router do you use? Because you could also control that. Like most internet routing software, you can actually do it by device. So you could create a profile for your daughters, put their devices their tablets under that.
That's a good idea.
It's probably something built into your Sonic mobile app.
Do you have... Well,
no, I'm on Comcast now. Comcast Business.
So they do that. So Comcast under Xfinity Wi-Fi, if you pay for that and you're using their Wi-Fi, they let you create a family profile. It's called XFi.
Yep. I've seen it in my app, and
their app is actually quite good.
Like that.
Oh, okay. So it's Comcast Business, not Comcast Xfinity, so we don't have that. However, I do have the Eero. And the Eero is
okay. You could totally do it.
Totally have it. Yeah. Have it.
Do you know how to do that? Because I can tell you.
I'm sure it's. I mean, off the top of my head, I'm guessing it's in the settings and probably pretty easy. I never thought to go that route. I wanted to stay with the Google.
Go to the plus and add a profile, and then that's how you're going to do it.
Perfect. That's great. And then I would just add it for the tablets specifically.
I would create whatever for your girls. Because if you create a profile for each of them and then add the device, because I don't know if they have phones or if you want them not to have access to other, and then you could just swap things out based on how you feel about their access to things.
That's a good tip. Why didn't I think of that? And of course, we're coming up with this right now as they're on their last couple of days of spring break, and then they actually return to in-person school here in a couple of days.
That's
so it's like we figured it out.
Yeah.
You can still do it for grounding because, with the Eero, because it's tied into Amazon Echo, you can always just say turn off so and so's, Jane's profile.
Oh, that's
and then
smart.
Boom, it just shuts everything down.
Wow.
You're tough. Okay. You're a tough mom.
I know.
Don't mess with Stacy mom.
That's great. Thank you for that.
I'm so excited I could help you, Jason.
I know. It's awesome. That's a
you
great
help me
tip.
all the time. Okay.
All right. Well, that was a little bonus to the Google changelog. All right. We're going to round things out here. We got tips, tricks, and numbers, and any other stories that we may have missed coming up next. All right. So is there anything in the rundown that we have not talked about that you really want to get in there? I see Will.i.am is there.
That's kind of interesting. I got into a little bit of a Twitter. Somebody was yelling about this being awful about the state of the world, but
what is
it? It's kind of neat. It's got air purifiers. It's a mask.
Here, why don't I put it as my thing?
Which line are you on?
Well, this looks like it's 115.
Because we can say that since Mr. Laporte isn't here.
Yeah, it's your thing, Stacy.
So you want to do this as your thing?
Thing.
All right, it's your thing. Do what you want to do, Stacy. All right, so how about tell us a little bit about this, Stacy.
Okay, this is not a thing I can show you on my face, although I really wish I could. Will.i.am teamed up with Honeywell to create the Zuper mask, which is a $299 face mask. It's got a silicone overtop thing. It's got mesh underneath that can, I think, be customized, but we're not 100% sure. And it's got Bluetooth with noise-canceling headphones that are also linked to this mask and the Honeywell filters. To be clear, the Honeywell filters Honeywell is not saying that they do filter out the coronavirus. They're just saying they're HEPA filters, which I'm cool with pollen season. Great. I'm sure it does something. You know,
well, it does as much as a cloth filter, as a cloth.
Well, it probably does more. It probably does more than a cloth mask.
Cloth mask,
but
okay.
Sure is more than this thing right here. Sure is more than that.
Yeah,
right?
probably a little more than that. Maybe.
So, yeah, and this is a prototype. They're going to do drops just like they do with fancy sneakers. So at first I was like, okay, and it looks freaking dystopian as heck.
It does. I mean,
it looks like Mad Max meets Adidas. But
it's like a Google Daydream viewer, but for your mouth.
For your
mouth. And nose.
Right.
But I was thinking about this and I'm like, you know what? If we go into a culture where we wear masks all the time, the fact that it's got the earbuds, it's got an integrated microphone in there. So you could and I'm thinking maybe not for like walking around the grocery store, but what if you're sitting in your office, you know, and you've got to wear your mask all day?
Yeah.
This actually doesn't.
I wouldn't mind the ventilation.
So I'm just throwing that out there. Do I think it's going to be? I mean, I would not wear it, but it's not as crazy as it seems. Although I wish Will.i.am would focus on Wink. That's all.
Why wouldn't you wear it?
Why wouldn't I wear it?
Right.
Because I think it is hideously ugly, and also, mostly because I think I don't want that. That looks like something's attacking your face. It just maybe it's comfortable, and if it is, I might change my mind. It's also expensive.
It definitely has a gamer aesthetic to it.
Yeah,
it's
definitely aesthetic.
Feels like to me. Yeah,
but maybe you could make that all black. You could get
that'd be better. Yeah,
get different colorways. Like maybe you go to the game tournaments of the future, and everybody in the room is wearing one of these while they're playing whatever it is they're playing. I don't know. It looks very futuristic, and $300, right? Is that the cost for this?
Yeah, but I mean, like if the headphones are good, I just spent almost $200 on the Jabras 85. Were they 200?
Totally.
Yeah. So, I mean, if I hadn't spent that, or if I could get that kind of mask with the Jabra sound to it, and it wasn't as scary looking. Yeah.
It's got LED lights, noise
canceling.
canceling.
Why does it need LED lights? That's the thing that goes too far. It doesn't need LED.
No, I walk around in the dark all the time. I actually have the most stupid, crazy LED stuff now. It is beyond silly.
That sounds so bizarre.
Well, there's no street lights where I am, and when it gets dark at like 4 o'clock in the winter.
Oh, okay. All right.
I
thought you were saying you're walking around the house in the dark
now.
No, I've got like rave wear. Like I have this it's like literally an LED vest. It's got LED lights here. It's got them up and down my back. I can program it with an app to do patterns. It's ridiculous.
Oh, nice.
Oh man, we need.
Actually, Stacey, would you send that to me?
Do you want one? I can send you a link to it.
Yes, I mean, send me the link. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's great. People definitely.
Because I go out at night too, and I'm in the country too.
Yeah, let me find out. Let me go find out.
Thanks.
Where.
Add me to that list too, please.
All right.
Stacey's just being super helpful today. All kinds of good tips.
Yeah, what's going on? Jeez.
Stacey, you're usually so cranky.
This is good.
Robot in chat brings up the question: How do you clean these masks that are so teched out
with
like
all
this?
the electronics?
Oh, that's where you get those fancy UV light things that.
Yes, we got those.
I don't know. I'm like, I don't know.
I have to clean my CPAP thing with ozone.
Huh.
Okay. That's funny. You mentioned CPAP. I saw the other day a CPAP that only connects. It's like the little thing that connects just to your nose. Is it totally BS? I wondered if it was. I was like, how could you replace like this huge CPAP thing that is just the way it is right now with this thing that you?
I got tempted because I hated my CPAP thing and despised it. And there was a Kickstarter campaign to actually do that. It had mini fans and they had a whole thing and they raised, I don't know, $1.5 million and never did a thing. It's one of the big ones that never happened because they can't. So what happened was people copied the design, the look of it. And all it does is like have a flap in it or something. It doesn't really do anything.
Okay. Well, I imagined like something that small wouldn't have enough air pressure to actually open up
Well, you don't need a lot of pressure. You just need kind of a constant flow.
Oh, okay.
And so
right.
this Kickstarter thing had these small baffles with a tiny battery that would create some flow up your nose, and keep you breathing. But
CPAPs are no fun.
I am man sleeping myself.
Man sleeping? What is it?
I forgot about that terminology.
Show title.
That's a nice callback to the beginning of the show. Completely spaced that one. Well, Jeff, what's your
I'm
number
gonna give you
or
two.
your stuff, or what you got?
Two. First, the serious one is the Andreessen Horowitz marketplace ratings. I did this a year ago. This is the second year they've done this. And if you go and open that up, and then you go to the bottom of the top, whatever number it is, and say more, it'll go to the full list. And what fascinated me last year was how these are the top marketplaces out there, how few of them I know and use. Maybe I'm just so incredibly unhip. Instacart I use constantly for my father to do things for him.
Wow.
I lose out pretty quickly in this list. Masterclass
me too.
I've heard of, but I've never heard of Valve.
Valve is
Casa.
The internet game? They're
It's a game thing. These are These are top marketplaces. Most of these are huge, and I have never heard of them. There's a whole world out there, is what I'm saying. Goat Streetwear. I don't think you can see me in streetwear. I don't think it'd work very well.
Vato made the list. Interesting. And Vato does a lot of stock footage and stock assets for content creators.
Is that what it is? A lot of education ones here. Course Hero, Udemy, Coursera. I got those. Delivery Dudes. Never heard of that. Modsy Home Services, Cameo, and Vado.
Modsy was one of my things.
Was it? Oh,
yeah. It's a designer. It's a design thing.
Ah, see, you're hipper than I am. So I just thought this list was interesting.
Shocking.
Yeah. So Bandcamp is on there. Love Bandcamp. That's
yeah.
The other one to do. I love this. There's a video to play on line 135. If you would have the honors, one of you.
Let's see here. Well,
I just love this.
That would be John.
Mr. Jammerby has it.
Mr. Jammerby,
can you pull up 135 and play that?
Let's see here.
Audio. Restart with audio.
It's only
that might be a problem.
Second.
That might be a problem.
There we go.
Okay, wait. Okay, go back to the beginning. Okay, ready.
H2 to lose to proceed to gate K1.
Somebody had a sense of humor here at Lufthansa because it's flight 2222 to Toulouse. I just love that. I just love that.
Flight 2222 to Toulouse.
To Toulouse.
That kind of sounds like a remix just waiting to happen.
Isn't that great?
To Toulouse. Yeah, something along those lines. Love it.
And Jeff and Ant, I put the link in the chat for the Vesta
thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Oh, no. Which chat? The Zoom chat?
No, not the Zoom chat.
I don't see it there.
Hold up. I put it in the Twitch chat, but here, I can put it in the Zoom chat, too.
Okay.
I share with everybody. I don't just share with y'all.
Oh, I thought.
The Twitch chat. I'm sorry. Right. Okay. The Twitch chat, not the rundown chat. Never mind. Thank you. Got it. Thank you. Oh my.
All right. Let's see here. So, Ant, what you got?
I have a couple things, and the first thing I like to tell people to, if you can avoid it, stop taking painkillers. I know people have aches and pains, but painkillers can be quite addictive and lead to a whole host of problems. And I had my hip replaced several years ago and battled with pain management and things like that. But I found a couple of different ways to try to manage pain. And this here is something that I got my hands on fairly recently. I was hoping I could do a review about it, but I figured, I can at least give them a shout out. And it's the LumerCare Duo. I have it here in my studio. This is a really nice device. And and it uses lasers to help manage pain. I talked about this on my previous show, Hands on Wellness, being able to use lasers and other types of pain management devices to actually, activate the nerves and the proteins and cells inside of your body to help manage pain, to keep you from just popping pills, because all those pills are doing is just tricking your brain. They're not healing anything, and they're just giving you more of an addiction opportunity. But this thing is pretty intuitive, works for muscles and skin and joint pain. It's got 3 different settings here. You just toggle through, and you can do treatments 5 minutes at a time. It's not something that you do, for 20 minutes, half an hour, anything like that. Just do this a couple times a day. I've tried it out because I battle with wrist and forearm issues because I do a lot of push-ups and I carry cameras all day, and eventually my grip gets weak. And I found that just playing with this for the last several weeks does make a difference, and then you can see it automatically shuts off if it's idle. So, yeah, this is a pretty slick device. So shout out to LumaCare for, again, trying to get people to stop taking so many dadgum pain pills and allowing these pharmaceutical companies to just continue to profit off of us and turn us into low-end drug users.
Yeah.
And lastly, secondly, my other picks are go watch my show, Hands on Photography, twit.tv/hop. It's been a lot of fun. Had a couple of interviews. I have another interview coming up really soon that I can't wait for y'all to check it out. But my last one, I talked with Mr. Freddie Clark about food photography and beverage photography. And this man just does some amazing work, and a lot of it is just based on lighting and just how you set up your lights. And I'm still not quite there yet, but I'm getting close. I'm going to figure out one of these days. And also in that episode, we alluded to a workshop that I've been invited to, and that is the Wanderers Photo Excursion, and that's wanderersphoto.com. Myself, Mr. Andrew Scrivani, Mr. Steve Brazel, Mr. Freddie Clark, we're all going to be your instructors for this workshop in New Orleans. I will be focusing more on street photography as well as cityscapes. And part of the street photography, we have a second line band in New Orleans that's going to be there and allow us to do a shoot of them as they march through the streets of New Orleans, just doing their thing with their instruments. And that's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of energy to capture through your lens. And I can't wait. That's in October. So go ahead and get yourself registered and join this workshop.
That's amazing. What a great opportunity. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. I cannot wait.
Yeah, I bet. And when did you say that was again?
That's in October. I believe it's October the 12th. I cannot remember. It's October 10th through 14th. That's it.
Still, I was just thinking 14. Like that's going to be nice for you, I imagine, to be able to, go to New Orleans after the year that we've had and kind of feel like a normal traveler again.
Right. And then just the street photography, because I love street photography. That's probably my favorite thing to shoot beyond just studio portraits, because street photography allows you to take a scene that's totally innocuous and paint a story. One of my favorite all-time shots is of this lady that I took a photo of in Charlotte several years ago. And it's in black and white, and she's just standing there outside of the train station, and she has her baby in this little carrier. And she's just sort of hanging out, and the baby is just totally napping. It's just such a peaceful scene. The baby's like, you know what? I'm outside. The sun is shining on me. I'm going to catch me a real good nap right now with my moms. I love that shot, and I just love being able to see stuff like that out in everyday life with street photography. That's the kind of stuff you can't just stage. So
yeah,
it's going to be fun in New Orleans.
Right on. Never been to New Orleans. One of these days, I've always wanted to go.
What?
No.
Well, me neither. This will be my first time down there.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, have fun, y'all.
Food.
Eat and drink and be merry.
I plan on it.
Yeah.
I plan on it.
Awesome. Look forward to that. So my thing, actually, the initial embargo on this lifted this morning, and it is wearable. It is the OnePlus Watch.
Ooh.
Which OnePlus, they announced the 9 and the 9 Pro, the OnePlus 9 and the OnePlus 9 Pro weeks ago. At the same announcement, they also announced the OnePlus Watch, but they hadn't sent it out. They weren't ready to kind of like take the, go completely to the point of putting it on people's arms yet. And this morning, basically the embargo today is basically just showing that it exists and talking a little bit about the hardware. I've been using it for a few days, but I can't really talk about the experience necessarily, but I can kind of show it off because as you can see, it's a little like it's definitely a large watch. Thickness wise, though, my camera's a little far away, so it's kind of hard to hold for you guys.
No, it's working.
Thickness wise, it's not like a crazy thick smartwatch compared to some of them that I've had on my wrist before, but you can see just like the size of it. It's a pretty large and wide smartwatch. So 46 millimeter stainless steel casing.
Oh, that's what I
want. Curved glass on top. It's a nice profile, I have to say, but I think it's probably going to be for certain, size wrists, essentially. It's not going to work for every wrist. 1 gig of RAM, 4 gigs of storage. 2 of those 4 gigs are accessible for things like music and stuff. You can move music onto here and then, connect a Bluetooth headphone directly to it. And so you can stream your music and leave your phone at home when you go for a run, that sort of thing. 402 milliamp hour battery. It does have a charging puck, so you just drop it right on the charging puck and, it starts charging. And IP68, so that's water and dust resistance. So it's a pretty, this is really it seems like they're targeting this for active people. So, there's more than 110 different workout types that you can support with this, different modes for tracking different types of workouts and, your running pace and all that kind of stuff. Maybe you're in the gym or maybe you play cricket. I noticed that cricket is a setting. So if you play cricket, you're solid here. GPS, does blood oxygen saturation monitoring, stress detection, breathing training, rapid heart rate alerts. It does the thing where, after an hour, it tells you to get up and walk around. So you got that as well. $159. Yes. So it's not.
That price is what gets me. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a lot of good features for that price.
Yeah, absolutely. And, OnePlus has long been the value brand. There's a lot of people wondering if maybe that value brand identity is on the way out with their phones, because their phones keep getting more and more expensive. But definitely it seems like with the wearable at that price, $159, they offer a lot within this smartwatch. So
these are available now, sir?
With no Wear OS.
Right. I believe they announced no Wear OS. This is running Android, but they're not officially, it's not officially running Wear OS, Google's Wear OS.
Okay. Oh, I see. So it is Android OS. Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And available for purchase April 14th. So I obviously have the screen set. Oh yeah, see, I've got my music and I could stream that through to my headphones. But,
and it looks snappy too.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta say it's a sharp looking design. It's not bad, and especially for $159. So I'm going to be doing a full review of this for Hands on Tech next week. Is my hope. I guess
that's what we
stay
call
tuned.
A tease.
More coming on this at some point next week, but you can purchase it yourself April 14th if you want to get in on it. That's exactly a week away from today. So, the OnePlus Watch. There you are, $159. Not a bad price. All right. And that's what I got, and I think that's what we got. I think we're at the end of this episode of This Week in Google. Always a lot of fun. Thank you all for letting me crash the party and sit in.
Always a pleasure, sir.
Always, yes. Lovely to have you back.
Thank you, Jeff. What do you want to leave people with? BuzzMachine.com. Anything else?
Just beware.
Beware of the moral panics. And not just one of them, not a moral panic.
I'm researching, so watch out, Stacey. I'm gonna be full of examples.
No. Oh no.
Oh yeah. You're doomed.
Thank you, Jeff. Always a lot of fun. And thank you, Stacey. Stacey on IoT.com. Anything else you want to point people to?
No, the Internet of Things podcast.
There we go. Internet of Things podcast. Check it out, everybody. Thank you, Stacey. Good to see you. Thanks for being in such a great mood and lifting all of us up with you.
Yeah, thanks for tolerating me in my hyper crazy mood.
It's been great. And thanks to you. And I always enjoy having the opportunity to do a show with you, man. So it's great to have you here. twit.tv/hop. Anything else you want to point people to?
Actually, yeah. First off, quickly, Stacey, shout out to you for getting Mr. Om Malik on your episode last week for your Stacey on IoT podcast. So kudos.
And you are just like the nicest human being on the face of the planet. Wow.
He is indeed.
Yeah. I got to I owe you like 1 million hugs now. Okay.
Someday.
Sued. And also, I want to give a shout out to our online forums, twit.community. There's always a lot of different conversations going on over there. And yeah, there are different conversations about each show that we have on the network, but then sometimes it's just some random stuff and some nice shout outs to us as hosts. I really enjoy hanging out over there and checking out what people are discussing as twit.community. So if you haven't joined our online forums, go do that. It's quite all right over there. So I'm gonna give them a tip of the hat and a nod.
Agreed. Thank you for mentioning that. I don't get in there nearly as much as I want to, and probably as much as I should. But when I do, it's really great to see people talking about what we're doing, and also just talking with each other about.
Yeah, it's just random conversations, and it's not always nerdy tech stuff. It's just good people hanging out. I totally dig that in there.
Yep, completely agree. Awesome stuff. Well, as for me, I mean, I'm like you saw today, I'm filling in for Leo, although I think this is my last show filling in for Leo. I did Security Now yesterday, This Week in Google today, tomorrow morning, Tech News Weekly, along with Micah Sargent. So you can look forward to that and all about Android. And they keep me busy around here, and it's a good thing that they do.
Oh, yeah.
I love what I do. So twit.tv/TWIG. That is the show page on the web for This Week in Google. You can go there, find all the ways to subscribe to this show in audio, video formats. You can jump out to YouTube. There's all the links for the different podcatchers. So you can jump right into Pocket Casts or wherever you like to get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Also have, the live show. If you want to join the folks in the chat room and watch live and kind of participate behind the scenes and watch it as we're recording it, you can do that. We record live every Wednesday starting at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, 2000 or 20 o'clock UTC?
You tell me.
I don't know, but I just say both of them. It's kind of like GIF. As long as I say both, everybody's happy. But that is it for this episode of This Week in Google. Thank you so much. Leo returns next week, so you'll see him next time on This Week in Google. Take care of everybody. See you later. Bye.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that podcast episode. If you would like to check out more about tech news, then you should check out Tech News Weekly with me, Micah Sargent, my co-host Jason Howell, where we interview the people making and breaking the tech news every week.